Pitchdeck Asia. My name's Graham Brown, joined today by Tay Sijun and Jane Peh. They are from the Woof Agency. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
It's great to have you here. You're something a bit different. You're different because, well, I think you were actually going to bring a dog, right, into the studio.
Yeah.
But it wasn't allowed. Unfortunately, we don't own the building. Would have great have a dog sitting there in the chair.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm not sure how good it would be at an interview. Yeah, but something else, right? So the Woof Agency, it kind of gives a little bit away about what we're going to talk about today. Let's start with the basics. You two both are dog owners, right?
Yes, we're huge dog lovers.
What tell us a little bit about your dogs that you have in your house.
Our house,
Yeah.
like we have a Chow Chow, which is Milky, and 8 months old, 25 kilos, very high maintenance, very stubborn dog, but cute. Yeah.
We should get a picture up, actually. I think it's on your pitch deck, right? At the end in your photo.
I think
right?
in our group photo, yeah.
I'm just going to jump right forward.
Oh, yes.
Here we go. There
Yep, so
there
that's
he
him.
is. There's Milky.
Yes, that's
How old
Milky.
was he in that photo?
8 months.
8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more left in growth there, right?
Yes. So he's still a little pupper.
Still.
Still
It's
Still a
almost
little
as big as you, Tay.
still a young pup.
Right. How about yourself, Tay? What's your dog there?
Nah, that's actually, I was volunteering at a shelter in Singapore. Yeah, so I took a picture there. I used to have a Singapore special.
What's the Singapore special?
A mongrel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we call it the Singapore
Is
special.
it a hybrid, right?
Yeah, hybrid.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So obviously you're both dog lovers. The Woof Agency, what exactly is that?
So we're actually a full-service influencer marketing agency,
Yeah.
but we only work exclusively with pets.
Right.
So we call them our petfluencers.
Petfluencers.
Correct. So what we do is actually we connect brands to our network of influencers based on what they want. So for example, if a brand wants to target a certain specific country, or they want to work with influencers with special requirements, so that's when we come in with our expertise and we curate and select the best profiles for a certain campaign.
Excellent. We're going to have a look at your pitch deck in a minute. We're going to look through the market, the problems, the solution, and so on. Just help me understand a pet influencer. If I go onto Instagram and I see there's a lot of accounts there which are just like featuring only pets. Often they're dogs, right? And there could be like 2 of them together or just one, but it's like their life. Is that what we're talking about? Are those pet influencers, petfluencers?
Yeah, correct. Petfluencers. So basically for us, right, we only accept profiles that are fronted by a pets.
Right.
So we don't accept any human influencers or human profiles, or if like your fur kit is just a by the way thing. So it needs to be fronted by the pet. So it's really about like your pet's life.
Okay. But obviously human beings have to contact you, right? The
Yes,
pets aren't
the
doing
pet
this themselves.
owners.
We haven't got to that stage yet. So. All right. And I know it's called the Woof Agency and you talk about pets. Just so I understand, is it just dogs or is it mostly dogs? I mean, how does it sort of break down in terms of the world of petfluencers?
No, we don't only have dogs. We have dogs, we have cats, we have a hedgehog.
A hedgehog?
We have a hedgehog. We still got
Rabbits,
hamsters,
birds.
birds.
Yeah, but I guess like majority of our influencers are dogs and cats because they are more popular as pets amongst like individuals. But we do have a few outliners like the hedgehog.
The hedgehog.
The hedgehog.
He's doing all right, is he? He's like very influential. What does a hedgehog influence people about?
I think it really depends. It boils down to like the personality and the profile of each of the pet.
Right.
So for example, there's a corgi that's in LA. It's called Pai Pai. So what he does is that he goes around cafes, eating food, going on food dates with his parents.
Yeah.
So that's, like his profile is really about going on food trips. And then I think there's also a very famous hedgehog that has recently passed on, Mr. Pokey. So what he does is that he is the world's happiest traveler. So he travels around the world with his parent, his mother. And I think like all his trips are sponsored.
Sponsored?
Yes.
Wow. There you go. And what's the strangest pet that's ever been sort of proposed to you that you didn't expect? Because you're talking about fluffy things, right? They're not all fluffy though, are they?
Yeah, I think as of now, not really.
Yeah.
But I know of there are people who keeps like snakes, pigs, all this as pets as well. Even llama. So, but for now, we don't really have a really special or unique pets under our network.
Right. I think a hedgehog's pretty special, right? It's a bit unusual. They're not even native to Singapore. Do you have hedgehogs here in Singapore?
No, I don't think
know,
Singapore you can't have a hedgehog.
Yeah, you've probably never seen one in the wild, right? There you go.
No, not in Singapore. The influencer was from California, I think.
Oh,
US.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm excited to lift the lid on the world of petfluencers and the Woof Agency. So maybe we can start. Let's have a look at the pitch deck. And let's sort of jump back to the start, because I think there's an interesting point about the actual size of the market here. So if we go to like slide 3, and bear in mind, some people are actually listening rather than watching this. So sometimes you might have to be a bit descriptive. Okay. The whole pet market, we know it's big. How big? Let's talk about that. Put some numbers here.
202.6 billion global pet market by 2025 estimated. Currently, the data for the US alone, if I'm not wrong, if I remember wrongly, I think it's $80 billion this year. Yeah. Influencer marketing, 5 to 10 billion they estimate by advertiser spending by 2020. And most advertisers are actually increasing their influencer marketing budget actually year on year. If I'm not wrong, it was a 16% increase every year from 2015 onwards. So most brands are actually recognizing the power of influencers. What can they do for the brand? How can they actually market to their target audience more effectively and more warmly? Because at the end of the day, when you run a Facebook ad or run an Instagram ad, it's coming across very cold. Yeah, so people might just scroll past it. It might become part of the noise. But when you're marketing through an influencer, when people are following them, they can actually be more effective in driving your brand value across. Because they'll be following them for maybe a year. They want to see, they grew up with a pet, for example. Or if it's human, they move on with what they want. They look at what they buy, for example, makeup brands. And then they actually see, hey, actually this makeup brand makes this influencer very pretty. So maybe I want to purchase it,
Yeah, absolutely. So step back a little bit and look at those numbers again. 200 billion, more or less, pet market within the next 5 years. Within that, the 5 to 10 billion influencer market, is that influencers or that pet influencers?
Influencers.
Within that, you're a subset, which is the new area of pet influencers, right? And so I can understand it a bit better, is that pet influencers, what typically are they selling? Are they selling pet food?
Yeah, I would say the most easy vertical to work with for pet influencers are pet food, but definitely not limited to them. Because, for example, in the US, Toyota actually worked with a pet influencer called Loki. So when they did market research, they realized that around 60 to 70% of their SUV owners were also pet owners.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so they actually gave the owner of this dog, Loki, a car, a 4x4 and then they actually asked them to market it through their network.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't give the dog the car, though.
They didn't give the dog the car. They gave the owner the car. But I believe the dog actually benefited some way from it.
Yeah. So, no, I think this is an interesting meta trend that's happening globally, and particularly here in Asia, is that there's a lot of things going on that are really driving the increase in pet ownership maybe, and how we sort of view pets and our relationship with pets, right? So I know, for example, you've mentioned like the pet's parents, and people see pets as their kids, their children, right? That, I mean, because I'm older than you, not being patronizing, that's new, right? You go back 20 years, people didn't talk like that, right? That's a new thing. And that's one thing. And then there's this sort of meta shift, which is, people are having less children, and pets are becoming a part of people's families, hence the sort of changing relationships that people have with them, right? And especially here in Asia. I lived some time in Japan, which is sort of like demographically very similar to Singapore as well, right? So, across the world, people are aging, they're having more pets and they're treating them like their families and so on. So there's this meta trend. Add to that the fact that these pets have their own social media accounts now. So you've got this sort of, people look at pets as some strong emotional connection. And that means that for brands like, a Toyota or an auto brand, there's an opportunity there if they get it. So just so we understand, before we jump into the problem side of it, these pets, how many followers do they have on social media?
So for us, we actually represent a spectrum of influencers from different categories. So there's the everyday influencers, there's the nano, micro, and macro. So we do represent the world's some of the world's most famous pets. So for example, Maya Polar Bear is this Samoyed from Germany.
Yeah.
She has 1.2 million followers on Instagram, and she has 2.1 million followers on TikTok, which is which
She's
is
on
the
TikTok.
platform. Yeah, correct. So it's quite amazing because I think like you mentioned, people are really gravitating towards pets ownership as compared to having a child. People are getting married later. They don't want to have kids so early. I met up with a lady who started her own PR firm. So she's about in her mid-30s. She's with her husband. They don't have kids, but they have 7 cats.
Wow.
So that's the reality of what's happening right now in the landscape. Recently, over the weekend, we just went over to Pet Expo. We spoke to a lot of our influencers because they also happen to be there. And it's just crazy because as pet owners, we really are willing to spend a lot of money on our pets. We really see them as family members. And yeah, it's just this whole new shift in terms of the concept in the landscape. And I think that it's really it's a new and uprising trend right now on social media, and that's why we feel that there's a lot of traction and potential when it comes to pet influencers.
Yeah, it's definitely the right place at the right time. You're a little bit ahead of the curve as well.
Yes,
which I think is
correct.
important. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's have a look at the problem itself. I'm going to just jump around the pitch deck a little bit. I know your problem statement comes next, but before we get there, I think sort of preface that a bit where you talk about SMEs on slide 8. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. There we go. Slide 8. There we go. This one. Okay. So let's have a look at this and then look at the problem itself. You're saying that SMEs are being cast aside because they don't have huge budgets. We talked about the size of the pet market and the influencer market as well. What's the issue here, particularly with SMEs, and why are they getting ignored?
Yeah, I think because when it comes to the pet verticals, there are actually a lot of homegrown brands.
Yeah.
So if you were to hop onto social media, not just in Singapore, but also we are seeing it happening in, say, like Australia and US, whereby people are setting up their own businesses, home-based businesses selling maybe pet treats or pet supplies, or they're offering like pet services and things like that. But because they are not huge MNCs, they don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing budget. And that's where, like there are influencer out there. They are macro. They charge maybe a few $1,000s. If you want to work with an agencies, you have to pay them probably tops 4,000 and above. So for them, they just don't have the capacity and luxury to work with such a huge amount. So what we are building now is actually we are at a pilot stage, but we created a platform whereby we invite all these SMEs to come on board. They can create a listing. So in return for sponsored products or services, they actually can engage the everyday influencers. So basically the pet profiles with a lesser following, like maybe just a few hundreds. But the thing is that because the pets community, at least in Singapore, it's a very small community. Everyone knows each other. So in a way, we are trying to advocate, like the viral, like going viral, the word of mouth marketing, and really getting like real people and customers on the ground to test your products and see what they think about it. So in return for sponsored products, usually they will have to do one Instagram post whereby, like they just try to help you to raise your brand awareness, to talk about your stuff so that you kind of cut through the clutter. At the same time, they also have to do a review of how they really feel about a product, say on their Google page or their Facebook page, which we feel that testimonials and reviews, they are actually a great thing for SMEs because that's where you build up your credibility with your audience.
Okay. We'll have a look at the pitch deck, and if you can go back in to the problem statement here, this is where we're going to start. So this is what you're identifying, right? They can't afford to go to large ad agencies, and then you're building them a platform to do that. So who's getting paid here?
So there's actually two parts to the business. So there's also, like, for instance, the agency, whereby, like, for example, the agencies, it would usually be MNCs who have more budget.
Yeah.
They want to work with influencers with a larger following. So those are the ones where they'll come to us and we'll provide them with the end-to-end service. But for the platform, it's really more for SMEs or home-based businesses. So they don't really have the budget, but they are willing to sponsor free products in return for reviews and, a shout out on the influencer's Instagram. So usually for this platform, nobody really gets paid.
Yeah.
But then we do engage our community and the influencers to enjoy all these like sponsored products. And at the same time, like they feel that, oh, like my kid is a celebrity, is a star.
Yeah.
I like it. And I like to try out all these new things. I want to see, like what's out there in the market. I want to share really good things, really good services and products with my other friends. So I think like for the platform is really us trying to build an ecosystem to facilitate and to advocate, that, hey, the spirit of sharing, like if you know of something good, like just share it with your other friends, because we want, again, like tying back to our brand mission, we want to lower the existing barriers to owning a pet.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're a pet owner, you have a following, you're going to get a lot of stuff from brands who want you to try this out because you influence other people. That's how it works, right? On the actual pitch deck, you talk about the solution itself. If we jump back in there, this is what you are in terms of the product side. So the platform itself, is that what you are? I mean, what's the sort of extent of what you're doing? How do you make money out of this?
So for one, we have two actually models that we have. One is the agency side and one is the platform side.
Right.
So for the agency side, usually we work with those brands that are sponsoring products and giving money. So usually these kind of brands, they have bigger budget, maybe a few $1,000s. And then from there, we take a cut, maybe 10%, 50% commission from them. And that's how we earn money from there. For the platform, actually, is for us to bridge the gap between pet influencers and the smaller brands who can't afford to pay so much. But the smaller influencers, those that, let's say, have 1,000 followers or 5,000 followers, they're just as effective as those macro influencers who has 1 million. They have very loyal following. They have very high engagement rate. They have people that follow them when they was from small and they grew up. So they actually believe in the product that they sponsor, or rather they market. So with that, we realized that, hey, brands who come on board, you never engage all these smaller influencers. It's quite a waste for you, you see. Yeah, so from there, the platform, we actually try to automate their campaigns and we try to reduce their costing. So if you have to find your own influencers as a smaller brand, it's going to be tough because you don't know who are the people that are actually effective for you. So for example, if you are a US brand, you want to use a US influencer, the following might be majorly from, let's say, Singapore, and that's not going to be effective for you, you see. Yeah.
So you're sort of, if you can get everybody on the platform, you could have a complete set and a long tail of potential influencers, right? If I went on there, I mean, I'm just sort of joking a little bit. If I said, look, I need a spider in the Netherlands, like Amazon, you would have that. In the future, if you had enough coverage, if this was like, if this scaled right up, that, I know that, okay, they've got it covered. That spider might only have like 10,000 followers, but if I was marketing products relevant to them, for me, that's perfect, right? And as an individual agent, as an individual brand, very difficult for me to go and find that.
Yes.
Right. Just luck, really, to go out and find that. It's like, just kind of stabbing in the dark, right? That sort of platform that you're building, that is that sort of where you're going with it? If you can have complete coverage globally, all different kinds of pets, different locations.
Let's say not go to the spiders. Let's say for dogs itself. Okay. Yeah, like you don't even know which country this dog is from. Yeah, so that's one problem. And for example, dogs with anxiety, such a qualitative factor. You cannot identify it through Instagram and all that stuff. But if we have that full set of data information, we can actually provide this kind of information to brands to make sure that they are using the correct people. So actually, we were talking to Golin from Texas, who is marketing the PR agency for Nestle Purina. So they wanted to engage dog influencers who has anxiety issue because they want to market this supplement. Yeah, so they came to us because they couldn't find anybody. how do you determine a dog has anxiety issues? And they're not going to talk to like 100 people because they don't have the time to do that. Yeah, so they came to us and say, hey, we actually do have dogs in the US that has anxiety issues. So we actually provided this information to them. So there is a gap in the information and data that the Instagram could provide for the brands and the quality factors which they cannot provide.
Well, where would they go normally? Before you, if I was Nestle Purina, where would I go for this information? What would be the obvious channels, even though they're not necessarily the best ones? How would they go about that?
I would say they have to go direct, individually,
Right.
each dog influencers and ask them.
Yeah.
And ask them. You maybe have to ask like 20 or 30 before you can even find one that's relevant
Yeah,
to
I
you.
think maybe like what we are doing here is really like trying to help brands like this. I mean, like we do recognize that there is obviously a gap in the market because they want to reach out to all these individuals, or rather like this all these like dog profiles with very specific requirements. But there is no one platform whereby they are able to just tap right in and get whatever information that they need. So that's where we come in as the Woof Agency to fill in the gap. We have a network of more than 500 influencers across 25 markets as of now. So we have a variety of profiles which will suit a specific campaign needs. So for example, when the brand Nestle came to us, it was very easy for us to pick out exactly who are the pups that would be suitable for their campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than them, like spending maybe one day really going through all the profile, reaching out to each of the potential influencer directly. Some of them may already have existing campaigns or sponsorship with the competing brand. And yeah, there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of back and forth. So what we're trying to do here is really just try to streamline the entire process.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Let's see how far you've come in this whole journey. When did you start?
We actually started last year, Q3.
Q3.
So we are still a very young company.
So you're what, just under 9 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, around
6 to
there.
9 months.
Yes.
Okay, so it's early days, right?
Yep.
And until now, how did you fund the business? Was it out of your own savings, bootstrap? Did you have investment already?
Initially, we were funding it out of our own savings. After a while, we went to approach Neon Incubator because they had a $10,000 incubator grant, and they went to pitch to them. So we got it. Yeah. So with that, we got a first set of bootstrap funding for us to go towards the next step. We pitched to Enterprise Singapore. So they had a $30,000 founders grant. So we pitched to that. We went through the first panel, second panel, and in the end, we got it also. So with this first batch of money, we are bootstrapping and actually marketing our product out there and getting more pet influencers into our network.
Okay, good. So you have a slide here on the pitch deck. Let's go back there on slide 6.
So special shout out to Neon Incubator.
Yeah,
If there's any
let's do it.
aspiring entrepreneurs, please go to them. So Joanne, Yeming and Andrew, the team, very, very helpful. They have a great ecosystem out there to help, like founders like ourselves. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
they pet owners.
yes.
They
special
are.
shout out to them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I think as well, sorry, I'll dive back into the journey in a minute, but what you do, it's easy to connect with the right people, isn't it? Because if you are a dog lover
Yep.
and there's a dog lover out there in another business or a fund or whatever, it's easier for you to connect, isn't it? And it's not easy, but compared to somebody who may... Right, so, okay, the journey. 9 months in at max. So bear in mind, we're doing this in March 2019. So if you're watching in the archive, then that's all change. Let's have a look at where you are now in the growth. So talk us through some of these numbers. You talked about 500 pet influencers, including the hedgehog.
Yes. So
And-
that's the hedgehog.
Yeah, that is the hedgehog. Is that your most popular pet, or what's the sort of the Kim Kardashian of your stable, if you like, your portfolio?
I think Kardashian would be Maya, which is the Samoyed there.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Pookie from Taiwan. It's a very famous cat with about 600 plus K followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would be our Kim Kardashians.
Yeah.
Right. How many on the Samoyed, the dog?
1.2 million
1.2 million.
followers. Yeah,
Yeah.
on Instagram, but 2.1 million on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's the TikTok dog. All right,
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, so what sort of content do the owners post of this stuff? Is it just sort of like small sound bites, or how does it work? Just photos, or is there sort of a formula there that works? Do you advise people on that as well?
Usually for them, like, because they have already proven that people love their content, what they're doing. So when we go to them, we don't really kind of like advise them.
Yeah.
But rather than that, we try to see which type of campaigns would be best suitable for what they're already producing and engaging with their audience.
Got it.
Yeah. So for example, Maya, like most of her contents are actually video. So she does a lot of what a fluff challenge. She does the ASMR, whereby like people are just really into it, like. Like people just love
listening
dogs.
To
yes.
Maya eating something.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, we are
Is that a
obsessed
big
as
thing?
well.
Yes.
Yes, we love it.
What is that all about? I mean, there's like that overlap between pets and ASMR, right?
Yeah, so I don't know, like it's just very therapeutic when you listen to
Yeah.
them,
Is that what it
like
is?
crunching cucumbers, for example. Like, yeah, you just watch the video, like, and you just play on repeat. Yeah,
Right.
but I think so these influencers have really proven that
Yeah.
whatever
Right.
that they're doing right now are great. Yeah, so that we just come in to do the matching for
Right,
them.
got
Yeah.
it. So when people come to you, they're already de-risked in the sense that you're not having to educate them about how to do their Instagram profiles. They've already got to a level where they have a following. They know how to do this. They know how to engage. They just need somebody to connect the other end, which is the SMEs and the brands and so on.
Yeah.
All right, great. Back into the journey, if we can, Barrett. If we can jump back into the pitch deck. So you've got some great numbers there and markets as well. You've talked about being in the US, here in Asia. What do you see, just out of interest, in terms of markets that are growing really fast at the moment? Are some markets growing faster than the others?
Yeah, I'll say US and Australia has a really huge pet market because most of the people they own a dog or a cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think one of the big market that's growing now is China. Because pet ownership in China, if I'm not wrong, is only standing at 20% and it's growing like 10% year on year.
What is it by comparison in like 60, 70% maybe?
60, 70% in the US, yeah. China also love their dogs, you see. Yeah. So
it's also becoming a bit of a status symbol as well, isn't it?
yeah, correct.
That you own a dog, therefore either you have money or you have a house big enough to have that dog, right? Which is sort of like the implied message. Like you don't get a huge whatever it is, like one of these, maybe like your dog, right? You've got to have space for that. So
Yes.
so in China, that's also a thing, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Now I can afford to have a dog because I've got an extra mouth to feed, right, effectively. So,
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be a market of people who want to buy a dog just to have a status symbol in their home. I think there's also a huge market for people in China who just loves dogs and cats in general, and they just want to take care of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like there's a lot of dog advocacy groups in China that's actually stopping people from like maybe like adopting the dogs and all that stuff in China. Very, very plentiful.
Yeah. It's interesting, the whole sort of like shift over there, because I mean, in a lot of countries, animals were just for labor or food, right? So to own an animal as a part of your family is a new thing, right? So in these economies, that's just growing really fast. So.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's move on. I'm going to jump forward a little bit on the journey slide and talk about some of the companies that you've worked with. Let's focus on the one on the left, the ones that have engaged you already. What are you finding? What sort of company, is there sort of a pattern with the type of companies that have engaged you? Do they, come from a certain background? Do they have a certain type of person on board? Or is it just the fact that the person who's writing the checks has a dog? There's a bit more to it than that.
I would say that most of the companies that came to us or ones that we approach are actually mostly dog verticals because they are the low-hanging fruit. Get them on board, educate the market that there's such a platform out there for them to market their product. Surprisingly, there's a lot of US brands that came to us. We didn't reach out to them because they wanted to leverage the influencer market. MediaCorp signed a partnership with us just last month or 2 months ago. Yeah, so we are under their Bloomer SG network, which is their social media arm. And we are featured on Yellow Pages Singapore also. Yeah, Polytechnic.
Okay, so you basically said here are the obvious low-lying fruit, which are the pet food, pet insurance, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The really interesting growth long-term is the ones that aren't obvious, like the Toyotas, or
Yeah.
like you've got a whole bunch of people like Dyson and Sega there, for example, like with nothing in their name related to pets, right?
Yeah.
What's going on there? Why is that an interesting area? Why are you in talks with these kind of people? What's missing from what they have already?
I think for, let's say, Dyson has always been working with influencers, right, to market their product, but they want to showcase something more cute and something with a CSR angle. So with Dyson, they actually wanted to show that their vacuum cleaners clean up pet fur very well.
Yeah.
And that's the angle that they're coming in, correct? And then there's a hair dryer, which is, they say that it's quieter, so that when you blow the hair on your dog to make it dry, it won't be so, the dog won't be so scared, you see. And then it will be better for the dog or better for the cat.
Yeah.
So I think there's an interesting space out there. People are recognizing that the pet influencers has associated positive feelings with the brands, so they want to leverage on that to make sure that the brands have always been perceived in a very good light.
Yeah, I think now that when I look at Instagram, for example, I do see it. I don't know why I'm getting it, but I do see a lot of videos. You know, like when you look at the search function in Instagram, it gives you like the random world of Instagram. People drying pets' hair. You know, that seems to be a thing, right? It's like pet manicuring, pet grooming.
Yeah.
It's a thing, right? There's a lot of that going on. So I can see, like with Dyson, how that makes sense. Like for a certain type of person, you know, they may feel it's worth spending. Those hair dryers are not cheap, by the way. They're like $800 bucks, right? So it's a real status thing as well. So, okay. Wow. I love it. The crazy world of petfluencers. So you've been at this now for 9 months, 6 to 9 months. Before we sort of go into the stage about, you know, what happens next, the fundraising and so on, what have you learned in this process? You know, what do you know now about petfluencers, pet owners, pets that you didn't know when you started out?
I guess like because before I started the company, I actually was working in the advertising agency. So I do work with like your KOLs, your human influencers for certain brands or accounts that I'm leading. But I think with what I really love about the pets community is that the pet owners, they really care very deeply for their pet. So maybe it's in a sense whereby whatever that they're going to be endorsing, it's for their kids. So their fur kids. They are really careful about which brand they want to work with, what type of, you know, like pet food, what kind of consumables are they really going to be giving them, what's the ingredient, like really drilling down to the nitty-gritty, like what's the active ingredients, what's the inactive ingredients. I think they really care about what what they're talking about. So they don't just like accept any campaigns that comes their way. They can be very selective because they want to make sure that whatever that they are talking fits with their own, you know, like whatever that they really believe in. So I think that's one.
We do have pet influencers rejecting paid campaigns
No.
because the brands don't align with what they believe in.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have like pet influencers who could have easily earned like a few $1,000s for a post telling me that no, because my dog is very satisfied with whatever that he's having now, the brand that he's having now, so I'm not going to change it, but thank you for the offer. So I think that is something that, you know, in a way it surprised us, especially since there's a lot of controversial revolving around influencer marketing. And the second thing is just the fact whereby the community is really, really supportive. So what we do at the Woof Agency is that we are always trying to improve. So we always like, you know, after a certain campaign, we talk to our influencers. We are very close to the pet owners. We'll say like, hey, you know, like, what do you think we should improve on? What do you think like we are not doing right? What do you think that we are doing right? And I mean, like, it kind of like surprised me as well that what they really like and they would stay with us till the very end is just because like I talk to them like a friend. Like they feel that I really treat them as partners. They are not just one of the many influencers under our network. And we have a real connection beyond the Instagram walls. And they feel that they are really a part of this huge community whereby people are supporting each other. They get to know more friends. You know, their dog gets to know more friends. They go on outings together. So, yeah, I guess like these two really surprised me in terms because like we all know that there are a lot of articles talking about how influencers, you know, like putting them in a bad light. But I think on a positive note, there are really people out there who do really try their best to bring out the best content for their audience. Yeah.
Great. Okay. And you're raising funds at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that. What's the ask? What stage are you at? And then, what are you using it for?
We are at the seed stage, so we are asking for around 250,000. Majorly, you'll be
Sing
spent
dollars.
Sing dollars.
Yeah.
Singapore dollars. So majorly, you'll be spent on building out the entire platform. So we not only want to be able to do management in the influencers and the brands. We want to be able to have a chat that connects both of them together. We want to be able to make sure that image upload. Because if you realize that when influencer marketing come into play, the brand has to let's say approve the images, and if you are working with let's say 15 or 20, it's going to be a very difficult process, the logistics nightmare, because if you need to speak to 20 influencers and then get them to send you the image through Gmail, and then you have to manually look through everything, and then you have to approve everything individually, it's so tedious, right? So we want to build a platform so that everything is automated, everything is one stop. You just go in, you log in, you see who has uploaded the images, what are their captions, that everything is good, what are the hashtags. So everything to be able to liaise on the platform, we want to be able to build that out. In the future, we also want to build in the payment gateway, but I know it's a bit difficult as of this point right now. But if we definitely want to build a payment gateway. So in the future, our agency model can also be put in on the platform, and everything can be done from there.
Like a self-serve platform.
Correct. Yes.
That would be the
ideal.
Yeah, that's what you're working towards.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And then what would be in it for what are the, why would somebody invest? Where would be the potential opportunity for them to get their money back?
Okay, so the pet market is 200 billion estimated. So if we, let's say, do a 10%, let's say pet brands then spend 10% of their revenue on advertising, a $20 billion market. Let's say they spend 30% of this on digital marketing. That's going to be around like a $4 billion market. Let's say if half of this digital advertising goes into pet influencers, it's an easy $2 billion market for pet influencer marketing alone, just on the pet industry itself. We're not counting the automobiles, we're not counting the beauty industries, all these that might have an alignment with the pet industry. And we are seeing a shift of most of these non-pet verticals trying to use pet influencers to market their product. So it's potentially a really huge market out there.
Yeah, as we've seen with Toyota, for example.
Yeah, and also because over at the Woof Agency, I think we are slightly ahead of the curve because it's a new trend, it's a rising trend. So we do have the first mover advantage. Right now, I think we are the Asia's first and also the largest pet influencer marketing agency. And we are also trying to penetrate into the Western markets. And I believe that we have a very good shot at it. Yes, because we do have quite a lot of influencers, famous ones from US, Canada, and Europe. Yeah.
Okay. Great. And also potentially an acquisition target for a WPP or a publicist group or whatever who want that in their portfolio of particular channels that they could push out their the ad or media spend to, right? So
definitely.
I can see that slotting in quite nicely into one of those guys. I'm just trying to think through the potential exits here, right? That's one, apart from the IPO and so on. Okay, great. You hiring at the moment as well? I mean, if you're recruiting, are you going to build the platform yourself? Do you need skills? What else do you need in your team?
Definitely IT people, programming people who definitely have knowledge in HTML5, JavaScript, and Python, because we are building the back end and the front end together. So UI, UX people are definitely hiring right now. We're also looking for interns actually for our marketing side, our designer interns, copywriting, because there's a lot of copywriting when you're dealing with Instagram captions and all this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do they have to have a pet?
You have to be a pet lover. There's the prerequisite for joining the company.
Right. They don't have to have one, right?
They don't have to have one. It is good if
they
you
can
have
just
one.
aspire to have one by hanging around with you guys, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. So that was Jane and Tay, everybody, from the Woof Agency. It was a lot of fun having you guys in the studio. Wishing you all the best with your ongoing journey. Global domination starts here, right? And keep us updated on how that journey goes. We'll put all the details in the show notes. What works for you in terms of how people can reach out to you? What's your sort of preferred channel? Does LinkedIn work for you? Or are you not sort of on there regularly, or is it email? Or what works?
Yeah, I think they can just drop us an email,
Yeah.
or they can contact us via the contact us form on our website.
Okay, great.
Or you can follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. And
The
have you
Woof
got your own
Agency.
pets on it? If you got your
Chow chow.
Chow Chow, that's it.
Yeah, it's called Milky the Cloud. That's the
Cloud. Is that the
Instagram.
Instagram handle?
Yes.
How many followers do you have?
100 plus only. Because
100
still-
plus? Not
yeah.
100,000 plus.
No, not yet. Growing at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But for us, our Instagram handle is called the Woof Agency.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can follow us on Instagram.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
A lot
you.
of
Thank you.
fun having you in. Privilege hearing about your story. Wishing you all the best.
Thank
That's the
you.
Woof Agency, everybody. We're signing out from Pitchdeck Asia. Hi, Graham Brown from Pitchdeck Asia. Pitchdeck Asia, powered by Pitch Media Asia. Pitchdeck Asia is all about giving startup founders a voice. We are a show to help startup founders share their journey. So if you enjoy these stories, then why not subscribe to our YouTube channel? There's the subscribe button over there. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on the journey. Leave a comment. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode.